The most frequently asked question in English grammar is on the use of past perfect tense. Look at the sentence on the screen. Before Mrs. Jordan dash reach home, Mrs. Emilia dash take the bureau. There are two dashes and there are two verbs within brackets, and the verbs that are given within brackets are in base form of the verb or in V1 form of the verb. I say this sentence belongs to past perfect tense. How can one answer this type of questions? Whether it is in competitive exams or in public examination like board exams of 10th class or intermediate, or competitive exams like IBPS, SSC, etc. So this video tells you how to answer a question in past perfect tense. Please watch this video till the end to have a complete knowledge of past perfect tense. How can one identify, how to answer, and how to modify the verbs? Remember, there will be two verbs in past perfect tense, and these two verbs will be in different forms. We can use the past perfect to show the order of two past events. The past perfect shows the earlier action and the past simple shows the later action. When the police arrived, the thief had escaped is an example of past perfect tense. Look at this sentence again. When the police arrived, the thief had escaped. Past perfect tense will have two verbs, V2 and had plus V3. Past perfect tense, there will be two past verbs in the sentence. Modify one verb to past perfect and the other one to simple past. The question is which one is past verb and which one is past perfect. Now, to question yourself of these two verbs, which verb or work finish earlier than the other. Now change the earlier finish or completed verb or action into past perfect and the other one to simple past. Remember, both the verbs are past ones. Both the verbs are completed sometime in the past. But the verb that completed earlier must be changed into past perfect and the verb that completed later will be changed into simple past. You will find some keywords or signal words like before, after, by the time, already. These keywords helps you in identifying the past perfect tense. Also think of two past verbs. Think of two past verbs, one earlier completed and the one later completed. If so, that sentence must be in past perfect tense. Look at this sentence on the screen. When the police arrived, the thief had escaped. The verbs have been underlined. Arrived, had escaped. Arrived is in simple past, had escaped in past perfect. Had escaped is written in past perfect because the thief had escaped earlier than the police arrived. Had escaped occurred earlier. Police arrived later. The action that completed earlier must be written in past perfect and the action that completed later must be written in simple past. That's the rule. Follow this rule. Look at this sentence on the screen. She had washed her hands before she cooked the dinner. Washing hands, cooking dinner. Two works. Both were completed sometime in the past. But which one finished earlier, cooking or washing? Carefully observe this sentence. The first completed action is washing hands. then cooking food, cooking dinner. So she had washed her hands before she cooked dinner. Means she first washed hands, then she cooked dinner. So the one that has completed earlier must be written in past perfect, and the later one, which is also completed, must be written in simple past. That's the rule. Another example on the screen, I had written articles on various topics before he came. He had read different kinds of books before you came. Both the sentences have two past verbs and two past perfect verbs. I had written articles occurred earlier than he came. He had read different kinds of books happened earlier before somebody came. There are two more examples on the screen. By the time I returned home, he had already left. When I came home, they had already eaten the meal. So in the first sentence, two verbs, returned, had already left. So which one completed earlier? Leaving, had already left. That's completed earlier than returning home. So we wrote leaving in past perfect, had already left. If we come to the second sentence, had already eaten, occurred earlier, finished earlier. That's why we written in past perfect. And the one came is in simple past. When I came home, they had already eaten the milk. Means when I went to their home, they had already eaten their meal. That's all. Look at this example. The electrician dash restored the power before the audience left. First, you must identify the tense of this sentence. How can you identify? Remember, there will be two verbs. Left, which is already in simple past, and restore. So which one must have been completed or finished earlier? Restoring the power. The answer is the electrician had restored the power before the audience left. So modify the verb that is completed earlier or that is finished earlier must be in past perfect, and the one that completed later must be in simple past. That is had restored and left. I read the sentence again. The electrician had restored the power before the audience left. Another exercise, another question. The power dash go off after the musician had landed on the cables. There are two verbs, landing and going. One is in past perfect, that is had landed. Another one within brackets is in V1, base form of the verb. Think there are two actions, both are completed sometime in the past, and the one that is completed earlier must be written in past perfect, later one in simple past. The answer is the power went off after the musician had landed on the cables. Look at this sentence on the screen. Before Mrs. Jordan dash reach home, Mrs. Emilia dash take the bureau. So two verbs are given within brackets. Both are in base form of the verb, that is in V1, reach or take. Both are completed sometime in the past, and the one that is completed earlier must be written in past perfect, and the one that is completed later must be written in simple past. So which one, which verb, taking or reaching, do you think would have completed before or earlier? The answer is reached had taken. Before Mrs. Jordan reached home, Mrs. Emilia had taken the bureau. That is the answer. Reached had taken. So had taken occurred earlier. Before they reach, they had already taken the bureau. That's why we have written now reaching in simple past and taking in past perfect. Look at this last example in past perfect tense on the screen. When we dash arrive at the station, the train dash already leave. Both the verbs are in V1 are in the base form of the verb. So, which one do you think had completed earlier? Their arrival or leaving of the train? So, train leaving is leaving of the train occurred earlier than their arrival. That's why leaving of the train is written in past perfect and their arrival is written in simple past. When we arrived at the station, the train had already left. That is the answer. That's how we change or modify verbs in past perfect tense. Hope you understand this explanation.